analogy. I had a real sore jaw. It was TMJ, right? Okay. I went to a chiropractor. He said, oh, yeah, it's your spinal alignment. We'll just do a few adjustments. We'll set you up on the schedule that and take care of the problem. And then I went to the dentist, and the dentist says, oh, look, your bite's wrong. You know, you've got one tooth up too high. We just need to adjust and grind down this tooth and that mold, you know, and that'll take care of it. Here's my point. Both of them were doctors.
Right.
They both had specialties, and they were convinced that their specialty can fix your problem. And the same is true with law enforcement and district attorneys. They think their specialty is what's needed to fix the problem.
And then there's the truth.
Yes.
Well, where they're most effective in dealing with this, I think, from the data, are places in the world where they treat it like a health issue, rather than a legal issue. So Portugal had their famous decriminalization. So what we've seen is drug use has decreased precipitously in Portugal. All drug use. Right. And of course they're not tying up their courts with this issue. And they're not tying up their law enforcement. Right. So, you know, they've addressed really 360 degrees the issue.
Right. Netherlands is in their, third or fourth decade of decriminalizing, so you can bring it out where people can address it without that fear of locking up.
Well, the Dutch are a whole bunch of degenerates, so I don't want to go there.
Well, they got their other issues, but this is one that I think, along with Portugal, I think, and there's, is it Uruguay?
Well, the Uruguay was doing some, but they're under pressure from America to keep up on the war on drugs.
Yeah.
Because they are, we put a lot of political pressure on them, and hold money hostage and so forth. So they don't. They are run amok. We actually run amok amongst them.
Oldham, you're not suggesting that our foreign policy of South America is based on quid pro quos. I heard that that's illegal.
That's bribery.
Yeah. Actually, that is the name of foreign policy.
To bring it back to the local area and to what you're saying, when they have a law passed to enforce another law, I don't have to be an attorney or a legal expert to know what is logical. The term enforcement requires a human intervention. And in the 90s, they tried to pass the teenage curfew law. And I said, I'm against the teenage curfew law. And they said, why? You're not a teenager. And I said, well, I'm not a Jew, and I was against the Holocaust, too.
I want everyone calling Tom a boomer to rescind your insults. He is on your side. You say, all right, boomer, not okay, boomer.
But it's illogical. But so what they told me was, we're passing the curfew law because we have a trouble with the graffiti. I said, well, why don't you pass a graffiti law? They said, we have a graffiti law, but we have a hard time enforcing it. So to enforce the graffiti law, they passed another law. Well, I don't have to be Steve Kutzweiler to tell you that a law cannot enforce a law because it's not a human being. And when you pass a law to enforce a law, it's illogical, and you don't have to be
unnecessary redundancy.
Well,
exactly.
Well, it's not about. It's actually a little more lazy and sinister at the same time, because they can't get to the graffiti. So what they do is they just say, no kids out. If we catch you out, then we are going to arrest you.
Kids are illegal.
And through terror, keep them at home, and that then takes care of the graffiti problem. That is literally their thinking, and that is why we have so many tyrannical laws today.
Oldham, are you saying the police are engaged in a terror campaign against our children?
Oh my goodness, not just that.
Hello?
No, especially minority kids.
Where are you if you don't know?
I've had, one of my daughter's friends that she was part of a homeschool group with is a black young man, and just the cops would see him and want to know, what are you doing in this neighborhood? Right. They'd say that to any of the white kids. It's only black kids.
Right.
You know, and so, this
is a predominantly white neighborhood.
Why do you...
Don't you use that logic on us, Brendan.
No. He lived in that neighborhood.
Right, yeah.
Some of these videos just get me. I get physically ill watching them on YouTube or Live PD or Cops or whatever, because they always are violating people's rights. I mean, every show is
Well, it's the
multiple violations.
lawmakers and it's the prosecutors and it's the people that are at the top of these organizations that are forcing our officers that ordinarily do an extraordinary job and the vast majority of the time do. And they do say something that is legitimate and compelling. They are not law experts. They don't have law degrees. They're not judges. They're not constitutional law experts. They're experts in their field of enforcing the laws. And because
they don't know.
Because
that's not their job.
Because no panel of judges, no, their job is really impossible. So I really empathize with the cops. Because no one can know how many laws there are.
No. Then you side on the side of liberty. If you don't know as a cop, then you side on liberty.
Yes,
except that's not what the people who sign their paychecks are saying. So they're in a position where they decide between a principle that oftentimes they're not really exposed to very often or familiarized with, or doing their job and the good they do in the community and getting paid. That's the reality.
Okay, but then if I'm an individual whose civil rights have been taken away, I will take that cop's paycheck. I will sue him.
Well, you're going to take your own money
No,
and
you
your
have to
neighbor's money in the settlement.
You held up your hand and you gave an oath to defend the Constitution and the laws of Oklahoma. The Constitution comes first.
Trust me, I'm profoundly sympathetic and passionate about the principles that you're espousing, and I espouse them myself.
Right.
I'm just saying that I think there is a lot of nuance here, and I think we could distill this thing to proceed in a helpful way. But the police are really being asked to do an impossible thing.
They are.
And so I just can't. I can't just sit here and just put it all on
Well,
them.
to
You should know.
Yeah.
To your point, this does come down to management.
Yes.
And it does come down to, and quite frankly, management is corrupt.
Mm-hmm.
Corrupt.
Yeah.
These people are vile.
It's a very small number of bosses.
The most vile of people. And it is not a small number of bosses. We're talking lower level management, middle management, and
Give me
upper
some
management.
titles here, Oldham.
I'm not going to get into that.
Don't give me their names, but give me like the kinds of positions they occupy.
Immediate supervisors.
Police supervisors.
Immediate supervisors.
Yeah, the shift manager. There's
At our jail here in Tulsa, we have non-sworn employees managing sworn employees.
Sure.
And how does that work?
Right.
And
no, it does because
they then order the sworn employees to do things that their oath has
forbade
them to do.
By design, see how convenient. Solution
Josh
found.
Save a lot of money.
Josh Turley, your name just got brought up again. For the second week.
Josh is. Well, you brought it up
because Josh is the risk management officer for the Tulsa County Jail. I mean,
well, then we need to sit down and talk because
again, he's
I
got
have info.
I'm on your side, Josh, and when these guys are arrested, I will testify against them. I'm your pal.
Let me make my point to this. Josh has got a doctorate in his area of studying, and that is particularly looking at the risks that are involved. You don't go to CLEAT to get the kind of training he needs. Okay? This is a very specialized field. And this is where you have to decide, do we settle this case out of court or do we fight it? And sometimes Josh gets it wrong. But he's got to know what policies we put in place and what our vulnerabilities are going to be based on them.
Well, he's just human, and of course anybody could improve.
Like, for instance, they brought me and some of my colleagues with NAMI to do training on mental health for the detention officers, because they had none. And I went to Sheriff Regalado and I said, we got to do something. What are you doing? He says, I don't have a dime. I said, well, you've got $20 million less now because you didn't train. And I said, yeah. Now, fortunately for him, there are people like my NAMI organization. We have skin in the game. It couldn't be our loved one there. So we went down and did it. And that's part of civic duty. And everybody should be doing something like that doesn't collect a paycheck to say, I'm doing this to make my community better.
Sure.
In that. But no, Josh is doing that. Now you got another person over there, Michelle Robinette, who was at one time the acting sheriff
Right.
She now has a civilian role running the mental health part of the Tulsa County Jail.
Yes, she does.
You know, and I can't think of anybody better than Michelle for that. You know, it just, so you're going to have some people who are specialized in that CLEAT didn't really give them the skill set they need. Now,
But are you saying that Michelle and Josh are unsworn employees? Is that what you're saying?
They are not part of the sheriff's deputy badged. Neither of them have a badge now. Michelle did for a long time. Now she's in a civilian role.
Okay.
Okay, so there, and again, this probably wouldn't be the case down in Caddo County, but when you're Tulsa County, when you're this big operation, this is where, yeah, you do need some very specialized things because the money gets big. It gets real. You know, and you have to do that.
I think it goes back to my central point. We're not doing our officers, we're not doing our community, we're not doing our society any favors by having this number of laws. We're putting the police and the prosecutor in an impossible position. And even if you were just this brilliant scholar of constitutional law, you'd be hard pressed to correctly enforce all of these conflicting and oftentimes just constitutionally bereft laws. I mean, it's such an impossible position, and that is one reason we have to dramatically pare down the numbers of laws we have. And to your point, with your initiative, David Van, you would be all for giving awards to people that are removing old laws that are unconstitutional, laws that are not enforced, laws that are unnecessary, laws that are obfuscating. These are not useful, and they make us less safe. They make the police less effective, and it puts them in a totally impossible place, which I am sympathetic to. And then what else are they going to do?
Well, and as a good example of this, we have the Alien and Sedition Acts were never actually repealed in 1798. And so what you end up having is...
Can you